My name's Carol Love. I'm 27. If someone asked me to sum up my family in a single line, it would be this. There's Jenna, and then there's everyone else. Jenna is 22, my younger sister, and since we were kids, the universe always revolved around her. If she cried, the house went silent. If she succeeded, the world paused to applaud. And if she faltered, somehow the rest of us were guilty. I was background music. Steady, useful, forgettable. That's probably why, when her graduation invitation arrived with a digital wish list, I thought it had to be a joke. I was cross-legged on the floor of my tiny apartment, half-eaten instant noodles beside my laptop, comparing overdue bills with a $400 left in my bank account. My phone buzzed. It was a photo from Jenna, an actual handwritten page in glitter pen titled Jenna's graduation wish list. I squinted, waiting for a punchline. There wasn't one. Bullet points, prices, underlines, more like a wedding registry than a graduation gift list. Rolex date just $6,000. 2-week Europe trip. Italy preferred, Spain or France acceptable. Car down payment, minimum $5,000. MacBook Pro, top model only. Something sentimental from each family member, but not corny or cheap. No gift cards under $500. I read it 3 times. Then I checked the family group chat, thinking surely someone else would speak up. They didn't. Mom sent a string of heart emojis. Dad replied, "We'll make it special, sweetheart." Aunt Shell asked what dates she should plan flights for. And me, I muttered to myself, sitting there in thrift store pajamas, staring at a list that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. I tried to laugh. It came out as a tired exhale. I texted Jenna privately. "Keep dreaming." 30 seconds later, a reply blinked back. "Then don't bother showing up." No emoji, no joke, just that. I stared at the screen, so long the brightness dimmed. The message glowed like a verdict. Then the typing bubble appeared. I thought maybe she'd follow up with, "Just kidding." The dots vanished. I locked my phone. The quiet hum of the refrigerator filled the room. My laptop fan word like a tired sigh. For years, I'd told myself that being the understanding one was a strength, that keeping the peace meant maturity. At that moment, it felt a lot like disappearing. The next morning, the family chat exploded. Photo ideas for the ceremony, restaurant suggestions. Not a single person asked why I hadn't answered. Mom called that evening syrupy sweet. "Carol, honey, can you help us choose the backdrop color for the photo booth?" Jenna's thinking rose gold. Not a word about the text. I swallowed the ache. "I'm busy," I said. What I didn't tell her. I couldn't even afford a new dress for graduation, let alone the sentimental gifts Jenna demanded. After the call, I closed my eyes and whispered to the empty apartment, "You can't afford another humiliation." So I made a choice. I wouldn't go. Let them have their perfect day. The golden child, the proud parents, the luxury balloon arch. I'd stay home, say what little I had, and avoid the hollow feeling of standing in a crowd cheering for someone who'd never once clapped for me. The day of graduation, my apartment was unnervingly still. Morning light poured over the city, indifferent. I silenced my phone. No message from Mom. No invitation. No "Are you coming?" Around noon, Aunt Shell posted a story. Rows of white chairs on a manicured lawn. A banner reading, "Congrats." Jenna fluttering in gold. Jenna stood in the center, hair curled perfectly, holding a bouquet so huge it obscured her face. I told myself I didn't care. Another story. Dad handing her a sleek silver box. Someone tagged it. #Rolex moment, #proud family. My throat tightened. I should have turned off my phone, but I didn't. I kept scrolling, watching strangers cheer while my sister soaked in attention that never felt shared. Every heart emoji, every clap, a truth settled in my chest. In this family, love had always been currency. I was bankrupt. I thought staying home was the end of the pattern. I didn't realize someone else was about to shatter it. Louder, sharper, right in the middle of Jenna's big day. Her name was Brianna, and she wasn't coming for cake. I hadn't heard from Brianna in nearly 3 years. We grew up together. Our moms or sisters were close. She was a cousin who said what no one else would, rolled her eyes at fake compliments, cut through pretense with surgical precision. Last I'd heard, she'd moved to Seattle for a tech job that sounded impossible to pronounce. Then my phone lit up. A message from her. You going to the circus tomorrow or sitting this one out? I hesitated. Me? Sitting it out, officially uninvited. Brianna what? Long story. Brianna, try me. I sent a screenshot of Jenna's wish list. Less than a minute later, the typing bubble appeared. Brianna, unbelievable. Me? No.
Completely believable. Brianna, then I'll go. Me? For what? Brianna, not for her. For you. I smiled weakly. Sure, I muttered. I didn't think she actually meant it. Brianna was bold, but even she knew the hell of facing my parents' iron smiles and Jenna's sugar-coated cruelty. Still, part of me hoped she'd go, just to witness what I couldn't bear. The next day, as my family posed in golden afternoon light, I sat on my couch in an old t-shirt scrolling Instagram. Post after post. Jenna basking in adoration, confetti, champagne. Captions like, so proud of my baby girl. It looked more like a luxury engagement party than a graduation. My chest tightened, fatigue, not jealousy. I whispered, you made the right choice. Stay out of it. Then my phone buzzed. Aunt Shell, call me when you can. Something just happened. Before I could respond, a message from Mom. Call me now. And one from Brianna. You might want to sit down. According to Aunt Shell, it started during the gift presentation. Dad handed Jenna a white envelope, part of the car down payment. Uncle Bill passed her a wrapped silver box. The Rolex. Gasps, applause. Then Brianna stepped forward, wearing a simple black dress and sunglasses, standing out like a bruise amid pastels. Excuse me, she said, loud enough for everyone. Did you already get your $6,000 watch, or should I call Santa? The tent went silent. Mom tried to laugh, brittle. Oh, Brianna, you're always joking. Brianna didn't laugh. She pulled out her phone. I'm not joking. You sent this to your sister, didn't you? The screen glowed under white lights. Jenna's wish list. A ripple went through the crowd. Jenna froze, forcing a smile. It's just a joke, just banter. Brianna stepped closer. You told Carol not to come because she couldn't afford it. That's not banter. Gasps. Mom's face drained. Dad cleared his throat. Brianna's words cut through the murmurs like glass. You all clapped for her without asking who she stepped on to get here. Carol's working 2 jobs just to pay rent, and you're handing out Rolexes like party favors. Someone turned off the music. The only sound. Fabric rustling, a fly buzzing near the dessert table. Jenna's lips trembled. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about, Brianna interrupted. I grew up watching your family bend over backward for you while pretending Carol was fine. She's not fine. She's exhausted. You all broke her and called it support. Aunt later said Mom reached for a chair to steady herself. Dad stood silent for the first time in forever. Jenna muttered, I earned this. I worked. Brianna laughed. Short, cold, devastating. You earned this? You guilt everyone into buying it, including your sister, who couldn't even afford groceries last month. You told her not to come because she couldn't afford to spoil you. Silence suffocated the tent. Even the caterer froze, tray midair. Finally, Dad spoke. That's enough, Brianna. She turned to him, calm but trembling with fury. You're right. It is enough, just not in the way you think. Then she walked out, heels crunching on gravel. That night, I sat in my dim kitchen, listening to voice messages. First, Mom whispering through tears. Carol, we didn't know. We're so embarrassed. Dad, gruff and shaken. I should have stopped her years ago. And Brianna, fierce, unapologetic. You don't need to thank me. Just don't ever let them make you small again. I pressed play again and again, disbelief and relief twisting my mouth. For the first time, someone had stood up for me without asking, without hesitation. The next morning, Dad called, voice heavy, raw. Carol, your mom and I talked all night. We treated Jenna like gold, and in doing so we made you invisible. We can't undo that, but we want to make it right. There's a family gathering next week for Uncle George's birthday. Jenna will be there, so will everyone else. If you're ready, you can say what you need to say. We won't interfere. My heart pounded. For years, I'd rehearsed 1,000 imaginary confrontations, all ending with me backing down. This time felt different. I wasn't hiding. I looked out the window at morning light washing over my small apartment. For the first time, I didn't feel poor or forgotten. I felt powerful, terrified, ready. Next week, I wouldn't just show up, I'd speak up. The days after Brianna's confrontation were strange. Like someone cracked open a sealed house and let air in. Years of swallowed hurt, resentment, silence, suddenly breathing. Unread messages flooded my phone. Some relatives saying Brianna went too far. Others whispering, she only said what we were all thinking. And for once, I wasn't the one being judged.
That evening, Mom called. Her voice was softer than I remembered, stripped of its usual polish. "Carol, we never meant to make you feel less than. We thought you just needed space." I almost laughed. Space. That was her word for the years I ate alone during holidays, for the birthdays they forgot, the promotions they never asked about. "Mom," I said quietly, "you can give me space. You erase me." Silence. I could hear her breathing, unsteady, guilt trembling through the line. "You were always so strong," she whispered finally. "We thought you'd need us." Her words stung, mostly because they were true. I'd become strong only because there had never been another option. 2 days later, Dad showed up at my door, something he hadn't done in years. He stood there holding a grocery bag full of pastries, looking smaller somehow. "Your mom made me bring these," he said, offering a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. I gestured for him to come in. For a long while, we sat in silence. Then he said something that made me lower my coffee mid-sip. "We broke you without even realizing it. We thought Jenna just needed more, but she didn't. We enabled her, and we forgot to see you." My throat tightened. Hearing my father admit that felt like watching a wall finally give way. He rubbed his temples and sighed. "We want you to come to George's birthday next weekend. Jenna will be there. Your mom and I. We won't shield her this time. Say whatever you need to say. She needs to hear it from you." I stare at him, unsure whether to laugh or cry. He met my eyes, weary but genuine. "We'll stand by you this time, Carol." Something shifted inside me, not forgiveness, but gravity, the weight of being believed, at last. That night, I pulled out an old shoebox from the back of my closet. Inside was a fragment of forgotten childhood, photos, drawings, school certificates, birthday cards. Every card read the same. "So proud of you, Jenna and Carol. You girls mean the world to us, especially Jenna, our little star." Each one told the same story. Then I found the one that broke me, a picture from my college graduation. Jenna, beaming in the front row, wearing my cap because Mom had joked, "She looks cuter in it." I'd laughed back then, but it hadn't been funny. It had been rehearsal. Rehearsal for swallowing my feelings, for playing the side role in my own life. I placed the photo back and whispered, "Not this time." Over the next few days, I rehearsed, not in front of a mirror, but in my mind. I didn't want a speech. I wanted truth. No theatrics. No script. Just words that had been buried for years. Sometimes I'd wake in the dark with a sentence looping in my head. "You don't get to silence me by calling me bitter." Other times, I'd shape the calm part. "I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to stop carrying the weight of your choices." It wasn't anger that kept me awake. It was clarity. For once, I knew exactly what I wanted. Not revenge. Not validation. Accountability. The morning of the party arrived sooner than expected. I slipped into a simple navy dress, the one I'd worn for a job interview months ago. It wasn't special, but it grounded me. I tied my hair back, took a long breath, and whispered to my reflection, "You're not going there to win. You're going there to be free." Uncle George's driveway was already packed when I arrived. Laughter floated from the house, the scent of barbecue and vanilla frosting filling the air. It almost felt warm until I saw her, Jenna, radiant as ever, surrounded by admirers. Her laughter still sounded like wind chimes, light practice performative. For a fleeting moment, I saw her the way I used to, the sister I wanted to love without resentment. Then she spotted me. Her smile faltered, just for an instant, before she turned back to her friends as if nothing had changed. That was fine. She could keep pretending. Inside, Mom hugged me like it had been years, not months. Dad gave my shoulder a firm pat, his version of I'm here. Even Brianna was there, lounging against the counter with a soda in hand. The same cousin who dropped truth like a grenade weeks earlier. She raised her cup toward me, almost in salute. No chaos this time, just quiet understanding. The room buzzed with warmth and chatter. Jenna floated through the crowd like the star of her own film. But beneath the laughter, tension shimmered, thin and electric. Each time she laughed, I caught Mom watching me, then glancing away. Dad stayed near the window, silent. When Uncle George called for everyone to gather for his toast, my heart started to race. This was it. The choice. Stay quiet and preserve the peace, or finally speak. As George lifted his glass, the crowd hushed. Jenna stood in the center, all smiles. Brianna's eyes met mine, steady, encouraging. Before I could second-guess myself, I rose from my chair. Actually, I said, before we toast, there's something I need to say. The room went still. Jenna blinked, that polished calm slipping for the first time. I drew a deep breath. My hands trembled, but my voice held. I didn't skip my sister's graduation because I was busy. I skipped it because she told me not to come, because I couldn't afford the kind of gift she wanted. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the room. A fork clinked against the plate. And you all let it happen, I continued. No one questioned it. You just kept clapping. You treated her like gold for so long, you didn't notice the rest of us bleeding to make her shine. Silence. Thick, suffocating silence. I'm not saying this for pity. I said, softer now. I'm saying it because I'm done pretending. I'm done being the one who always understands, but is never understood. I turned to Jenna. She opened her mouth, but I wasn't finished. You've had everything you ever wanted. Except a reality check. That ends today. For once, she had no words. The quiet that followed was sharp and electric, like standing in the eye of a storm. No one moved. Even the music had stilled. Jenna's lips parted, but nothing came out. Her flawless confidence fractured. Carol, Mom whispered, her warning tone, the one meant to make me back down. But I didn't. Not this time. Please, Mom, I said evenly, let me finish. She fell silent. Across the room, Brianna leaned back against the counter, arms folded, a faint, knowing smile tugging at her mouth. For years, I said, I've watched this family bend itself in half for Jenna. I told myself it was harmless, that she just needed more attention. But all it did was teach her that love means applause and excuses. I turned toward Jenna, whose mascara was beginning to smudge beneath the weight of every eye in the room. You told me not to come because I couldn't afford your fantasy. You didn't even ask if I was okay. Do you know what that felt like? Her voice cracked. Carol, I didn't mean it that way. Then how did you mean it? I asked softly. Because you never reached out again. You didn't check in. You didn't even notice I was gone until Brianna embarrassed you. Her eyes darted toward Mom, searching for rescue. But Mom didn't move. Even she seemed to understand. This wasn't something to smooth over. This was a wound that had to bleed before it could heal. Then Brianna's voice sliced through the quiet. Steady, clear. Carol, she said, there's something Jenna should read. She stepped forward, pulling a small envelope from her purse. My pulse quickened. This, Brianna said, holding it up, was found in Grandma's old writing box. She left one for each of you. I wasn't sure when to give them, but now feels right. She handed it to Jenna. Jenna frowned, hesitated, then unfolded the note. The paper trembled in her hands as she began to read aloud. My dearest Jenna, you've always been my sunshine, bright, loud, impossible to ignore. But even sunshine casts shadows. Remember, child, you are not owed the warmth of others. You must earn it by giving your own. Her hand shook. Tears welled, but she kept reading. You spent so long being adored that you've forgotten to look behind you, to see the quiet ones holding up the roof. One day, you'll realize love isn't the gifts you receive, but the sacrifices you never noticed. If that day has come, listen, not with your ears, but with your humility. With all my love, Grandma. The letter slipped from Jenna's fingers, fluttering to floor like a fallen feather.